We're going to introduce you to three women who've just returned home to the UK after taking up what they feel is a job of a lifetime.
So they were picked from 6,000 people who'd applied in response to an advert to help run the world's most remote post office, which was, have a guess, in Antarctica. Nazza Rafiq has a look at their journey.
It was a job advert not for the faint-hearted. Claire, Mary, Natalie and Lucy answered it, and in November they arrived in one of the coldest places on Earth, Antarctica. Their new home? Port Lockroy, home to the world's most remote post office. And not to mention more than 1,000 Gentoo penguins.
So we've arrived at Port Lockroy, and there's penguins everywhere.
Their job for the next 5 months was to run the historic gift shop and museum, counting those penguins and sorting through more than 90,000 postcards that are sent from the island. They even had time to let us know how they were getting on.
Snowy greetings from Antarctica. We've had a busy first week digging snow, meters up to the roof of the building, admiring the scenic and getting to know our new penguin neighbours.
It wasn't all smooth sailing. They even had to call the Navy in to help to fix the roof of the museum after heavy snowfall. But despite the sub-zero temperatures, no running water or flushing toilet, life at Port Lockroy was no doubt hard work, but it was also a lot of fun.
Well, what a journey that was. We're joined on the sofa by Claire, Natalie and Lucy. Very good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Natalie, what a trip.
It was amazing. I think the best thing I think I've ever done in my life. It was
I'm
incredible.
so straight away tempted, you know, given the imagery we've just seen of highs and lows. Give me some lows first, because this is a harsh place. You're not in a normal environment. You're with strangers, who presumably now are friends, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good friends.
Good to establish that.
What about the difficult bits?
Do you know what? There weren't really any difficulties. You would think there would be, being in such an extreme, harsh place, but all of the good very much outweighed any negatives. I mean, you get used to not showering or having running water exceptionally fast.
What was the date you went out?
Was it the end of... No.
November, yeah.
Start of November.
Last year.
Yes.
Came back.
So I came back on the 25th of March.
So you really had the shortest marriage you could have had, because you got married in June 2022.
Yes.
Right, you had to think about that, didn't you? So, just like a few months later, you decided to go off on what, on your own honeymoon? Your solo honeymoon?
Yeah, I mean, a honeymoon with 3 wonderful women.
But you left your husband behind?
Yes.
All fine?
Yeah, it was
Glad
great.
to hear. Glad to hear. Actually, as I was going down that road, I thought, oh no, what if it wasn't? Glad to hear
No,
it is.
it's good. We'd definitely recommend.
Claire, what were you doing? Like, I'm hearing you were hand stamping.
Yes, over 93,000 postcards. So I was running the post office, but we all supported each other with our different roles. So we were also running a shop, a museum, and a penguin survey for British Antarctic Survey, monitoring the breeding success of the penguins on the island. So we were very busy.
How many penguins were there?
There were over 1,000. Yeah, and then we had over 200 chicks as well, which were absolutely fantastic to watch.
How up close and personal could you get to them? And were there, because they're characters, penguins. I just wondered if there were any little regular ones that...
We did have to keep our distance, at least 5 metres according to the Antarctic Treaty, but we did enjoy watching them. There were some, especially some of the chicks, that we got to know pretty well from like where they'd usually be based and what their characteristic behaviours were, like if they're exploring. Then we knew some quite well. Yeah, they were absolutely best neighbours to have.
Lucy, I'm going to stick with my quest to find out what the downsides were. I mean, it is you all seem like very chirpy. I'm not going to do a sort of character analysis straight away, but you seem like very upbeat kind of people. Yeah. Probably why you were chosen for the gig. But in a place like that, 4 people. What about getting away moments? What about, you know, I've had enough of these two being happy. I just need a bit of space. What about those moments?
I think this says more about you than it's going to say about Lucy.
What about those moments?
Yeah. So it's really interesting. When I first sort of was applying for the job and realised that it was this tiny island, I don't think I quite realised that when I did my initial application, and then we're like, it's actually, you know, 750 metres all the way around, that's it. But actually what we found was because we were working, there's different buildings and we're sort of out and about, we're meeting a lot of people all the time. So in terms of getting on and getting away from each other, we did have different roles, and we sort of focused, and we had different areas within our accommodation that we'd sort of hang out. And we'd have downtime together, so we'd just debrief, and sort of, it was more, getting away from it was more, the visitors come during the day, and then we have a bit of downtime in the evening when we can talk things through.
I give up, okay, I give up.
I'll bring you some jeopardy. Who wants to tell us about the Navy having to rescue you?
Yeah, I can talk about the Navy.
Go on, Claire.
Yeah, so we arrived on the island and you could barely see any of the buildings. They were completely covered in snow except the chimney sticking out. And so we spent 4 days digging, and then the Navy were in the area, so they came in to assist us. And we were very grateful for their support, because it helped us to get back on track to welcome visitors to the site. And yeah, it was really
You've made it sound very casual. The Navy was in the area. Mm-hmm. OK, how did you know? Who did you communicate to, and how quickly could they come and help?
So we had a radio on base, and we had email communications as well through satellite. So we were able to communicate with them that way, and so they informed us that they were around. And so we thought we'd put them to work and do some digging, and it was great fun for everyone involved. It's quite a fun task to reveal a building from the snow.
Our very eagle-eyed viewers will have noticed there is one person not here.
Yes.
Now, there is not a story attached to this. Someone hasn't been left somewhere. What's the story there?
So Mari actually lives in New Zealand, so whilst we would be delighted for her to join us today, she's a little bit far away for that to happen. So we did all get on extremely well, despite what you may think in a small environment, a small team, but she couldn't join us today. So she's very much with us in spirit, and we worked very closely
How often do you stay in contact? I mean, you've obviously been like,
do you?
All of you? It's only been 10 days, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I actually just got back yesterday. So I've been travelling around Argentina to make the most of being over there, and got back yesterday morning. So it's all new being back in the UK. Very exciting to be back and have a good cup of tea.
So in a way, you are literally adapting to your environments now. Not least the thing, which is presumably all the time, every day, you have been sharing stuff all the time, and that's now necessarily you're going about your separate business.
Yeah.
Does that feel like an odd thing?
Yeah, it was strange. The first few days, I kept saying to my husband, "Oh, I'm just going to go and do this if that's okay," because you're so used to checking in with people all the time. You'd be like, "Oh, I'm just going to see the penguins. Is that all right, everyone?" So I've been doing that when I got home. But back into the normal swing of things now.
And back to work? Back to your jobs, lives before?
Not just yet. Looking at the moment.
Has it given you all kind of pause? Did you get quite philosophical while you're out there? You know, thinking about things differently?
I think to a certain extent. I think what we all found was that actually getting away from the internet and connectivity, like the busyness of life here, was a wonderful experience. And we really paused and I think looked at all the small things as well. The landscape surrounding us was huge and amazing and sort of awe-inspiring. But what we focused on much more was sort of the little detail of what was happening on a day-to-day basis. Got super excited when we discovered some moss, for instance, in between the
moss.
Moss.
It was really green.
So there was a lot of colour added to our lives.
But they always say, don't they,
the
happiness really is about finding pleasure in small things.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and disconnecting. So. And we had a fantastic community in Antarctica, and the UK Antarctic Heritage Trust is at sort of the heart of some of that community. We have a lot of visitors and that we had, so we really enjoyed. We had the radio on in our accommodation all the time, so we could understand which ships were in the area. That's how we communicated. So that was kind of our TV in a way.
If I overhear from outside you three having a big row as you walk to the lifts, I'll be really disappointed. I'll be really disappointed.
I think the only thing to add in terms of challenges was the weather that we experienced. You heard about the Navy and the amount of snow that we had at the beginning of the season. That continued. We had non-stop snow right at the beginning. We spent sort of every day digging ourselves out of the buildings to get to work. We then had some extreme winds whilst we were there as well, some of which caused further damage to the heritage
Well, you all have amazing
so
stories to tell.
Lots going on.
It's been lovely to see you all here. Thank you very much.
Lucy,
Thank you
Claire,
very much indeed.
Natalie, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.